Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I am your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. I want to thank you for listening and staying here with me. Please subscribe. If you have not subscribed, please click on that subscribe button. This afternoon, our Pistons lost another one, 114-101 to the New Orleans Pelicans. And the Pelicans are flying high. They're moving up in the standings in the Western Conference. They've been on a roll lately. Ironically, the point spread for today's game, I'm almost positive, was 13.5 points. And we lost by 13. So I don't know. Everybody thinks that things are rigged or whatever, but I don't know who would have bet how much money on this game. But I could see what people would be thinking if, after that outcome. But I don't gamble. I heard one Piston podcaster say he would bet on the Pistons that we're going to have a 3-game winning streak before the end of the season. He said he'd bet money on it. And he said if they do have a 3-game winning streak, to make sure you send some of the money his way, and if we don't win three in a row, just forget about it. But I see no way that we're gonna, with all the injuries we have, there's just, even if we have a better team, we're not gonna win 3 in a row. Again, today we had, almost no starters. We had one starter, and we even lost some guys that were starters before they got injured, and so we're really down to the bare bones on our team, and we're playing guys that never are going to play in a rotation. And I hear the people on Bally Sports, they talk about how, yeah, these are great things, these are great opportunities for guys, and sure they are. Their guys get a chance to audition and play, for the NBA. But the reality is, there's like only three of our top 9 guys are playing, and the 2 of the guys that are playing, Sasser and Wiseman, are probably like our 8th and 9th player on this year's team. They might not even be next year. And so that, we're really playing, non-NBA rotation players for sure. But yeah, in the first quarter, after the first quarter, we scored 10 points. That's the low for the NBA, the fewest points scored in a quarter in the NBA this season. And we still cut it to 13 at the end. And it was the NBA's crazy, and they were playing. They had Zion playing in there with hardly any time left. Like 1 minute was left in the game. He's still out there on the court, which he's been injured so much, man. And they had a 20-point lead late in the game, and he still Willie Green still kept the starters in. It's kind of weird. It was like they were still full court pressing when they were up by 20 with 4 minutes to go, and I just didn't get that. And I know Willie Green's a great friend. Monty coached him, and Willie Green's from Detroit, and he gave Willie Green a chance to be his assistant coach when he was at Phoenix, and helped him get a job and everything. So it was just weird that he was playing all those guys at the end of the game. But tomorrow night we got to turn around, play back-to-back, play against the Knicks in New York, and that's going to be a tough game. We get to see Burks and Bogey play again. People in New York, I know, are really unhappy with those guys, but they're not shooting that bad. I mean, Burks is shooting bad from the field, but he's shooting over 37% on threes, and Bogey's shooting about 38% on threes, and that's what they do, and they're not good defensive players. But yep, Cade didn't play tonight. He was deemed medically unable to play right at the last second, and he's been shooting worse lately, and it seems like a lot of times when he goes into a slump, it coincides with him being injured. And not to make excuses for him, but like Therese Halliburton, he was shooting the lights out for like 2/3 of the season, and then he pulls his hamstring, and he keeps on trying to play, because if he gets to play at least 65 games and makes an all NBA team, he'll make like $40 million more on his new contract. So he's playing like just 21 minutes, but his shooting has curtailed greatly. His percentage has dropped way off the face of the earth, and it's been since he's got injured and came back from his injury. So that's, injuries make it harder to play. So we only have 11 games left, and only 2 of them are home. So we have some games that are winnable. Not, we had to play at the Wolves. We play the Knicks tomorrow night, and then we play in Minnesota on Wednesday night. get to see Ant-Man play. And if you haven't seen it, you gotta go to YouTube and watch his do Anthony Edwards block. And it was maybe a week or two ago. He went up, and it was a game-winning block. I mean, a game-saving block. They were up by one or two, and at the end of the game, and he jumped so high, he hits his head on the rim and blocks a shot that secures the win. And then he has this dunk recently that um, he dunked so he hurt a guy that I forget, I should know his name, but he dunked on a guy, and one of the best dunks, and probably right now I would say it was the best dunk of the year that he had. So hopefully we'll get to see some exciting plays from him. It is speculated that Fontecchio and Grimes are supposed to be back this week, and it'll really be fascinating because the Wizards, they won. They won a game, so now they moved ahead of us. We have 12 wins, they have 13 wins, and we play them Friday night. And so it's going to come down. That could be a pivotal game to who has the worst record. And I was saying all year I don't want to tank, I want to win, and I was so encouraged again when we got Grimes and Fontecchio that we were going to have everybody healthy, and everybody was for a minute, and then all of a sudden it got blown up. I thought we were going to go on a roll. I was confident that we were going to probably, get it to at least the third worst record, or maybe even the fourth worst record if things rolled right. But with all these injuries, it's just as impossible. There's no way that we can beat another NBA team with the. I mean, we're starting guys that shouldn't even be on the end of our bench. So it's just a challenge, and who knows if Cade's going to play, but it's going to be interesting who plays on Friday. And so that, like I said, that game could be deciding. So I talked about this before, I'm not wanting to tank, and there's no certain one player to tank for, but it does matter. So if you have the worst record, the worst you can get is the fifth pick, which has happened to us twice in the last 2 years. And then if you finish with the second worst record, the worst pick you can get is the sixth pick. So even though everybody has the same odds of getting those first four picks in the lottery, if you're a bottom three team, it still matters where you're positioned about where you could fall to. So the worse you do, if the further up you get to fall. So like again, if you have the worst record, the worst you can finish is fifth, second worst record sixth, third worst record's seventh. So it goes like that. So anyway, we'll see what happens, and hopefully we get lucky in the lottery anyway, and hopefully we find a good player in the draft. But yeah, I don't know what, you know, obviously they should play it safe with Cade and anybody that's injured. But Wiseman played tonight, and it stunk because he's one of our best players. He's been playing so well lately, and it's happened with all of our post players this year. He had 3 illegal screens called on him, so he had to sit out. He had 5 fouls, and he had to come out early, and he was our best plus minus guy tonight, and or second best, and he had to sit out because he sets illegal screens. And again, I've said this before, I think the coaches should fine him or make him do 50 push-ups if they get called for an illegal screen. Some goofy, even just to try to get it in their heads. So, we talk about shooting and how shooting doesn't improve, and so it's always not wise, in my opinion, especially when you have a team full of guys that struggle to shoot the three, to say, well, we'll draft this guy because he can do all these things, but except he can't shoot. So if he can shoot good, you hear draft experts talk about this player, he will be a great player if he can shoot. And some guys do improve. Well, I will tell you that Fred Vinson, that's the shooting coach for the New Orleans Pelicans, is one of the best. And also the other coach that's really good is the guy that the shooting coach for OKC, but they sold him from the Spurs. But this guy, the Pelicans have had guys, and I should have got Dyson Daniels. He's improved his 3-point shooting unbelievably. So, but I know Jose Alvarado that plays for the Pelicans, he went from 29% his first year to 33% last year to 38% this year. It's not an accident. Herb Jones, one of the best defensive players in the NBA, 33% last year, 43% this year. And so it can happen. We just need to get one of those shooting coaches. And of course, every player doesn't respond to coaching, so we'll just have to wait and see. But talk about Sarr for a second. It's heartbreaking and it's worrisome. Blood clots, you just worry a guy's life, can be threatened by that. But typically, so some guys like Chris Bosh, he had the blood clots and he sat out the rest of 1 year when they first diagnosed it, and then the next year he tried to come back, and then anyway they like reoccurred, and so it ended up his career. But other guys like Brandon Ingram, who plays for the Pelicans, who hurt his knee, was out today, and so he's had blood clots, but he's playing and having no problem. So a lot of guys can do that, but we know Asar is cleared for non-contact basketball activities starting in April 14th at the end of the season. And so he's, that's a good sign when they think that he's cleared to do that. So just shout out to Dusty May, the new coach at the University of Michigan, men's basketball coach. And he just signed a contract. He got a 5-year contract that averages $3.75 million a year. He made it to the Final Four with Florida Atlantic, which isn't an easy school to get it to the Final Four at. Last year, he made it to the Final Four, and he's had a great record. I'm excited about him. He's only 47 years old. There's $1 million buyout, which is peanuts to the University of Michigan. So that's exciting. See what happens with Dusty May, but I think I'm confident he's going to do a great job. So we had some guys do good tonight, and it's no, shade on them that they doesn't matter. Like I said, people get excited. Yeah, oh yeah, this guy, at least they got to show that. So I felt that way all year. So even when we lose and do bad, if I get to see Duran and Ivy play really great, even though we lose because we don't have a good, deep enough team to win games in the NBA, at least those guys are progressing because they have a good chance to be part of our future. Well, the guys today, and there's possibilities that they could end up being a player, but highly, highly unlikely. So Metu, he played 39 minutes, led the team by far in minutes played. He was 5 for 8. He played really well. He 7 for 8 from free throw line, 0 for 2 on threes, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 turnovers. He led the team with 17 points, and so he tied Flynn. So minus 13. Troy Brown Jr., 20 minutes, 1 for 8, 0 for 4 on threes, 4 for 5 from free throw line, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 6 points, minus 4. So he didn't do well, and Monty reduced his minutes. Wiseman, like I said, only 27 minutes. We needed him tonight without Duran, and he gets those dumb fouls. And so that really hurts the team. He was 5 for 8. He played well, 5 for 6 on free throws, 11 rebounds in 27 minutes. That's outstanding. But he had 4 turnovers. And again, and I think those 3 illegal picks were all count against a player as not only a foul but a turnover, because that's what it is. It's a turnover. So I think he probably only had one of the turnover besides that. But he scored 15 points, but he was only -1, which was one of the better plus minus. Ivy played. They limited him to 29 minutes. I think because they probably know that we weren't going to win, and we got to play back-to-back games tomorrow night. So he was 5 for 12, 3 for 7 on threes. He's really ready and willing to fire those threes whenever he gets a chance. And he shot. That's good. 3 for 7 is really good. 2 for 2 from the line, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and but he had 4 turnovers. So that just not good. 16 points, minus 15. Sasser, 27 minutes, and again, he 1 for 5, 1 for 3 on 3. So he's either 1 for something, or he's he shoots really high percentage or really low percentage. So I don't know. I think partway his size makes it harder to be consistent, and plus he's a rookie, and so it remains to be seen how good he is. He had 2 turnovers and only 3 points. One of the stars of the game, Buddy Boeheim. So he had played 22 minutes, 4 for 8, 3 for 7 on threes. He's a great shooter, no doubt. He shot really great in the G League this year, but he's 2 for 2 from free throws. He did get 3 rebounds and 3 assists, which is good, and with 0 turnovers. He had 13 points, but he was +3, the only player with plus and the plus minus. He played well, but the reality is if Buddy Boeheim is in our rotation, we're even worse than what we are, and that's hard to be worse than what we are. So Roden, 12 minutes, 2 for 5, 1 for 3 on threes, 3 rebounds, 2 blocks, 5 points. But we shot 40%, and that's not good, and 26% from 3, and we were 26 for 32 on free throws. But we out rebounded them 46 to 41. We had 16 turnovers. A lot were in the first quarter when we got so far behind and scored only 10 points, and they only had 10. But Zion, so it's fun to watch Zion. He's hardly played against the Pistons. He's been injured so much in his career, and he had a terrible game last game. And so I was afraid that he was going to bounce back and have a great game tonight, and he tied his career high with 36 points, but he was 13 for 30 for 14. He missed one shot the whole game. And, I've heard people say that he has lost a lot of weight. So I don't know if he's they got this new weight loss medicine. I don't know if that's how he's taking it, because he's lost, like people say, like 25 pounds in the last month or so. But he was like embarrassed. They had a game, I don't know if it was in December, probably for the play-in tournament, and he looked terrible, and people were all dissing him. And so then I think he's tried to lose weight, and he's come back and he's played great recently, and his team is really on the rise. So, but yeah, we're gonna play in New York tomorrow. Be interesting who plays, and again, like I said, the big one is could be have a big impact on who has the worst record. The game Friday with the Wizards, but it's like again, we have some winnable games. We play one of our home games left is against the Grizzlies, who they've struggled some, and they've lost. They've had a lot of their players injured. So, but again, we only 9 of our last 11 games are on the road, and it's always hard to win on the road in the NBA, especially when you have 7 of your top players injured. So, anyway, really appreciate you listening. Really appreciate you hanging in there with me. And again, please subscribe. Be the reason that someone feels cared for. And go Pistons.